You're watching TV 20 News at 10 on Gainesville CW with Josh Rosenthal, meteorologist Bill Quinlan, and sports with Hank Estengo. This is TV 20 News at 10.
Recession periods usually mean penny-pinching company cutbacks and, sadly, employee termination. Businesses of all types and sizes are prone to downsizing, and as such, buzzwords about unfair layoffs and back wages come up. But what do these words really mean? We've brought in an expert in employment law to talk about both sides of a termination, from the employee to the employer. I'm joined by Danialle Riggins of Riggins Law Firm. Thank you for being here, Danielle.
Truly a pleasure.
First, tell us a little bit about yourself and your area of expertise.
I am licensed to practice law in both Florida state and federal courts. I primarily focus my practice on counseling and in representing both employers and employees in all aspects of law. It goes from hiring employees, employee handbooks, to termination, to harassment, hostile work environments, wage and hours. The law interacts with the workplace so many ways, so there's so many areas to address.
Okay, what are the common things that you hear from people that were just let go? What are the most common I was just let go stories?
The common complaint that most employees call and say when they contact our firm is that I was let go and they didn't tell me why. It ranges from that area to a large group were brought in and they were told that we were let go due to the recession. The bizarre cases are when an employee who's been there for 20 some odd years is sat down and explained that to some reason unknown to him, they've come up with new allegations that he's done some type of misconduct. Those are the typical stories that we've heard so far.
Are there common examples of employees being let go improperly by their employers?
Quite yes. There's some who had contracts and the employers didn't give them the proper notice under the contracts. There's other areas where they've been let go because they've made some type of complaint due to harassment or improper behavior that's a violation under either state or federal law. So I've heard a lot of complaints in regards to improper layoffs. Okay,
now if you're someone that's been laid off and you think it was done improperly, what are the steps that you should take?
If you do believe that your rights have been violated in the workplace, first thing to do is typically call an attorney, because majority of times talking to coworkers or friends won't help you. If you actually have a feeling that your rights are being violated prior to being released, the best thing first to do is to look to see if there's a handbook. If there is, wonderful, see if there's an HR number for you to contact. If not, it is to advise, is to contact a supervisor or some person in management of whatever the allegations that you have and have them addressed.
So handbook, HR, lawyer.
Sounds great.
All right, well, let's turn the tables a little bit. If you are an employer that's thinking about downsizing, what are the right steps to take?
It's almost the same thing. Technically, you need to contact an attorney. There are several federal laws that actually require certain notices and steps that you have to take, depending on how many employees you have. If not, you technically need to, if you have to downsize, downsizing may be your best thing, but be honest that you have to be downsized if it is due to the economy with your employees. Those are the first things that you need to consider.
Okay, and for an employer, does it matter if the employee is on contract, not on contract, full-time, part-time? Do they need to look at each individual contract beforehand?
Absolutely. An employer would truly put themselves in great liability if they have contract employees that they have not reviewed each individual contract to see how much notice is required, because the majority of those contracts do require it. For the other employees who are not under contract, they're probably under at-will, which means as long as they give them ample notice, they can be released.
Is there one type of employee, a part-time employee, a non-contracted employee that's most susceptible to layoffs in a tough time like this?
Honestly, it is the older individuals who are at higher salaries. Most employers are releasing these employees because they do need to free up capital. So I'm having several calls from people saying, I've been there 20 years, I've been a dedicated employee, and I just lost my job.
Okay, now say you're an employer and maybe you're feeling some unrest within your, wherever you work, your employees, unrest among the employees. What would you suggest they do if maybe they've already laid off some people and you're worried that employees are thinking that they might be the next? What do you suggest the employer does in that situation?
As an attorney, the first thing we always tell employers is communication. The first thing to try to calm down the rumor mill, because that's what normally starts happening, is the word starts spreading, is to try to be as honest as possible, explain to them the true reason why they're releasing. They don't have to give up all the company secrets. Just explain to them in a normal form, giving them honest facts of this is why we're letting people go, and give them kind of notice so that they won't have the blunt feeling of being released that same day. Give them notice in the next 2 weeks or so, we're going to have some more releases.
Well, Danialle Riggins, thank you very much for joining us. And while the work situation